continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Because you can't, you won't stop. All right. I love this song. Who sings this song, John Anthony? Anybody? Justin? Oh, Beastie Boys.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Hello? Beastie Boys sing this. Hello?
I just put the headphones on.
Rest in peace, Mike D. Didn't he die? Oh, I'm trying to be hip right now, and it's really not working.
Yeah. Get off that stage, Amy.
Okay.
Move along.
John Anthony.
Run along.
For Dan Prof today. So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Because God is good.
All the time?
God is good.
No.
Oh, darn
and
it.
all the time.
And all the time. Okay.
I'm going to start it off. God is good.
And all the time.
No, Amy. Oh my God. You're so white girl right now.
One more time.
God is good. You say all the time.
All the time.
And then I say all the time. Then you say
God
is
is good.
All right. Let's try it again.
And I didn't get, okay. All right.
You want to start off or you want me to start off?
Oh, okay, you start off.
God is good.
All the time.
And all the time?
God is good.
There you go.
And I didn't say it in an accent.
No, you did.
Like Kamala Harris did. Here she is in D-Town.
You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
And then a few hours later in Pittsburgh.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Aren't you, as a black man, insulted by that?
You do know that I'm black, right?
You are?
Yeah, ish. But yes. It's not just her, though. It's a problem with the Democrat Party that they feel like they have to use these ebonics to speak to black people. And black people are very professional. Black people can enunciate and articulate good words. No, I'm from Rockford, but that's neither here nor there. Inside joke. Yeah, it bothers me. And it bothers a lot of black people that I know.
I mean, she's California raised and Canadian raised by two parents who are professors. And her new accent multiple times in the past month. I mean, she's used several different accents. So
AOC,
Hillary Clinton,
Bruce Rauner.
What? No, has Bruce Rauner done that?
He dropped his G's.
But that's kind of an Illinois thing.
Yeah, no.
No?
No.
When did Bruce Rauner drop his G's?
Oh, he dropped his G's a lot.
When?
Riding with bad. I made a post there. You know how Clyburn says, I'm riding with Biden.
Oh, yeah, we played
now
that.
Now he hiding with Biden. He hide now.
All right. Scott McKay joins us now, publisher of the Hayride, senior editor at the American Spectator, and author of Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, and King of the Jungle. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Hey, Amy, John, how are you?
So,
happy belated Labor Day, I guess.
Thank you. You too, to all the workers out there. What do you make of the changing Kamala Harris's accent?
Well, putting my Democrat hat on, what I would say is she still sounded better than Biden did. his last foray into public speaking, pretty much validated the coup, having shown very limited ability to make complete sentences. So insulting Ebonics patois is actually not that bad, given the current standard in the office. That having been said, I mean, this goes back to the Hillary Clinton thing. Mm-hmm. And what I notice about Kamala Harris is she's kind of a composite image, right? Like she's all of the worst characteristics of the Democrats' last, 3 or 4 presidential candidates. I mean, she's got Hillary Clinton's fake black accent. She's got, Barack Obama's fantasy economic policies that Obama didn't even have the stones to bring out. She's got Joe Biden's foreign policy. It's all of these different things that are just like she's a toxic candidate in every respect. And what I find is, funny is you get Nate Silver and Mark Halperin and some of these other, political analysis guys who are all kind of faintly warning the Democrats, look, all of this is fine now, but, in 2 weeks, it's not going to look so good.
Well, she just needs to keep hiding from the media for another 60 days, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's the best strategy based on what we've seen in the last 10 days they put her out there. But the problem is, and this is the problem nobody's talking about is this. All of the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the Alphabet Soup News networks and NPR and PBS and the Washington Post and the New York Times and all the rest of these, Democrat partisan propaganda legacy corporate media entities need content. Like they've got to have something to report on because they can't sell newspapers and they can't get TV ratings if they don't actually have fresh items to report on. And there's only so much Trump derangement syndrome that they can offer because most of that is played out. I mean, Trump is who he is at this point, and certainly there's some interesting stuff going on with Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. backing him, and there's the hint of maybe having sort of a broad coalition against the ruling class that the Trump campaign recognizes. You really don't want to report on that if you're NBC News because that actually might intrigue people and get the wrong guy elected from your perspective. So you have to have something that you can push where Kamala is concerned. And the fact that they're hiding her from the media and their own talking heads are explaining the hiding by saying things like, well, we want to win, right? Which is not real good because when you're running a candidate for state rep, you really want to get them out there and push your message and show people your candidate. Now you're running somebody for president and you have to hide them in order to try to win the election. Like people will pick up on that and say, this isn't too good.
Well, don't you think the honeymoon's over? I mean, she didn't get a bump at all from the DNC, which normally you do afterwards. It kind of stayed the same. So now are people starting to finally wake up and actually listen to the words that she says?
Well, I hope that's true, and I'm optimistic that it's true. Now, there's another interpretation of that, which is that the battle lines have so solidified that this is nothing but a turnout election, and the people who are, quote-unquote, persuadables are simply people who are not going to vote. And if that's the case, then, we don't have much of a future as a country when it's just a question of, people voting themselves money from the public till or voting for stupid things like, do I personally like someone who's running for president? I mean, just a hint for those people that still think that, if you met these people in person, you probably wouldn't like any of them.
Right.
Okay? I mean, superficially, somebody who gets into politics is very glib and comes off very friendly in a 30-second meeting, and the more you get to know them, the more you realize how fake and shallow and psychopathic they tend to be. And so really you're not voting so much on the personality of an individual as you are a vision for the country. And it's very, very hard to look at Kamala Harris and see, first of all, any coherent vision at all. And secondly, a vision that is not absolutely terrifying and has been tried before lots of times and didn't really go well. That tax plan and some of the other things that are starting to kind of trickle out policy-wise, like that's what's important. And I know everybody listening to the show knows this, but tell your stupid friends because this is increasingly an election that simply must be won by not the ruling class of this country because Kamala Harris shows that ruling class is septic, and it doesn't have the talent that it used to contain when it was somewhat functional.
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom about this weekend because I was, obviously not tweeting, but on Twitter or X. And did Kamala Harris, I said, I don't even think she worked at McDonald's. And my mom's like, oh, no, you better be careful. But was she on fries?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. As much water as the mainstream media has carried for her,
yes,
this has gone on for more than a week, and none of these people have come forth with the proof, aha, you lying Republicans, that she actually did work at McDonald's. And she has now stopped saying that she worked at McDonald's, which is a pretty good tell that she didn't work at McDonald's. Yet, she went out and told everybody this, just, like, hey, I'll say this because it sounds good. The problem is it's not true. Right. I mean, she'd be able to prove it if it was true. Her campaign team has enough money behind it and enough friendly media people that they would have been able to produce proof of this if it was actually a fact. And they haven't, so, whatever you do, don't give these people the benefit of the doubt. She didn't work at McDonald's.
Well, just like she wouldn't answer the question if she was black or not.
Well, she said she worked at McDonald's in Alameda, which is a city next to Oakland.
Right.
But she was attending college at Howard University in Washington, D.C.
Oh, but this happened over a summer.
Oh,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, prove it.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Get McDonald's corporate to say, yes, she worked here. Yeah. And it's been over a week, and people have been kind of scrutinizing this for over a week. The fact that they haven't been able to do this tells you it's not true.
Well, she's lying about that. What else is she lying about?
Well, or who was the independent operator?
What's that?
Who was the independent operator that might have owned that McDonald's, right?
I would think that they would come forward and say, yes, she worked for us.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's employment, okay? I mean, this stuff is not hard to document. When if you actually worked the job, they still have the records that you worked at the job. Or if not, there's a supervisor who's like, yeah, I had a presidential candidate work for me. Even if the supervisor's a Republican, they're going to say, yeah, it's kind of cool. Kamala Harris, who's running for president, actually worked here.
Right. And
let's talk about her.
All these people saying, yeah, she worked with me and she was on fries.
In your piece that you wrote for Spectator.org, you talked about two biographers who they never mentioned her job.
Correct.
Wow.
All of this time, somebody would have documented it. I mean, you don't run for president and well, that's not true. Obama ran for president, and most of his background was extremely well hidden. So maybe I can't go that far, but typically speaking, let's say, if you run for president, your history's going to be pretty much an open book. And, there's no record of her working at McDonald's. So this is, I think, just something she said. But look, very few things that have come out of this woman's mouth since going way back, but certainly since she became the nominee for the Democrats, like almost nothing she says is true. Her entire, oh yeah, I'm for taxes or no tax on tips. No, you guys hired 80,000 IRS agents to go collect taxes on tips. What are you going to do with those people now that you've completely reversed yourself? And the fracking thing and all the rest of the border wall, all of that.
Well, the border wall, in her campaign ad, she's using Trump's border wall. That's what makes it because there's nobody crossing illegally. And that video is from the Trump while Trump was president of the United States. All right, real quick, I just want to ask you this. All right, so an excerpt in your article, 5 Quick Things Who Lies About Working at McDonald's. The Free Beacon obtained a copy of Harris's October 1987 job application for a law clerk position in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Okay, on that form, Harris, who was in law school at the time, listed several jobs, including a month-long clerical job at a stock brokerage, and a section that asked her to list every position she held in the last 10 years. McDonald's was absent.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
and that's a standard thing, especially when you're hiring people for entry level jobs or whatever. It's account for all the time that you've had since you graduated from high school, for example. And, typically speaking, you put everything that you did because, everybody understands that it's not going to be that impressive, right, when you're hiring somebody right out of school. So, these are tells that, yes, this is a lie that she worked at McDonald's.
Now, Scott, you see how quickly democracy is on the ballot left when Kamala became the nominee? And we know the reason why, because that wasn't their so-called democracy. Why do you think many Americans are not concerned about the process in which she's now running for president of the ticket?
Well, okay, so we're now the Tuesday after Labor Day, and typically speaking, this is about the first time that people actually start to care about an election. The three of us are political junkies, and we follow everything and so forth. And I know most of the listeners to the show are the same way. Typical, ordinary Americans care about everything other than politics because to them it's really not that interesting. So, what I would say is there are a whole lot of people out there who have paid. They know who Kamala Harris's what her name is because she was the vice president, and people sort of kind of pay attention to the VP. They don't really know that much about her. They're going to find out about her. The only problem is they've now turned election day into election season. Yeah. And so I think in 4 days they're going to start voting in North Carolina. And, you have a level of ignorance by the public that they barely know her name, but they don't know the full sort of definition of Kamala Harris yet. And yet, like in North Carolina, these people have 4 days before they're going to start voting. So, that's a problem. You don't have the informed electorate that you need, largely because of the, massive early voting that we're now doing. Typically speaking, you get a better electorate on election day because they've gone through the entire campaign and seen everything. Right. And that's one reason why this early voting stuff needs to really get rolled back. But, Democrats don't want that because typically speaking, they run hand-selected candidates, and they don't run actual campaigns anymore. Biden in 2020 used COVID as an excuse and did virtually nothing of a traditional campaign. And, Obama, basically ran away from his entire life. And certainly his ideological background and everything else, and it worked for him. Hillary Clinton actually ran a full campaign, and that didn't work so well.
She was horrible. Remember when I'll never forget this because I used to live in Iowa, and Iowans don't like this kind of stuff. She walked in a parade, John, and she had a rope around her. So she was in the middle of a squared off rope section, and they marched down the street like that to keep people and to keep the media from asking her questions.
Of course.
She shot herself in the own foot, and then the whole server, I wiped it down.
Democracy in
She's
action.
lucky she's not in jail for all of that. All right, Scott McKay.
And but they learned a lesson. They'll never run a real campaign again, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, no, never. And then how are you feeling about Trump's chances right now? What does he need to do to win this? Because, after Labor Day, there's a reset, and now you're on the driveway home.
I think that the basic formula of what he's doing is pretty good. I think J.D. Vance is sensational. Get him out there as much as possible. Yeah. He had an unbelievable answer to this CNN reporter's question the other day about, why is Brian Kemp backing Trump? And he just basically said, because it's that important that we got Tulsi and RFK Jr., and we got Nikki Haley and Brian Kemp, and everybody's in the Big Ten. It's great answer. Get him out there as much as possible. But really, the ads need to be Kamala Harris is going to literally destroy this country. Whether you like Trump or not, you got to get on board if you want to save America. And that's a true statement. And I think that it will resonate with enough people to win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and the Sun Belt battleground states. And I think he's going to do okay. But you have to lean on her, not just on policy, but on lies. And if you can do that, I think you will wear the Democrats down, and I think you're gonna go in with probably a little bit of a mandate as well.
Yeah.
All right. Scott McKay, publisher of The Hayride, senior editor at The American Spectator, and author of Racism, Revenge, and Ruin, and King of the Jungle. Scott McKay, always a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly